Joining me now from our bureau in Washington, D.C., Grassroots Director for Heritage Action for America, Janae Stracke. Janae, what compelling reason is there for someone like Governor Cooper, or most recently the House of Representatives, to reject a piece of Born Alive legislation when it's protecting life literally outside the womb?
There isn't one. The thing is that they're afraid of this legislation. Liberals today, pro-abortion, protesters, and people across America who, by the way, are not the majority, are afraid of this because it would force them to answer a question that does relate to abortion. You know, this is about children who have been born, regardless of whether they were born in a hospital or an abortion clinic, they deserve care. So they're afraid to answer this question and to deal with this common sense legislation for a child outside the womb, because if you say this child who survived an attempted abortion seconds later has worth and deserves care and deserves life, then what is the difference seconds before that abortion is performed?
Right, and that's the problem.
They're terrified to answer that question.
That's the problem, right? And technology, in the end, has caught up with the pro-abortion crowd, and that's a wonderful thing. You know, we have a heartbeat detection now at 8 weeks, 7 weeks, maybe even 6 weeks. And the compelling reason, by the way, the only thing I would add to what you said is 2 words: Planned Parenthood. And these people are bought and sold by Planned Parenthood and its stranglehold that it has on Washington, D.C. and state houses across the country. Heritage Action on this issue, what is your mission? Is it more at the federal level to try and get the Born Alive legislation, or do you also try and get it passed in places like North Carolina?
We work at the federal level, but we've got sentinels, grassroots activists across this country that are working hard in their states and their communities to make a difference there as well. We are focused federally, and you know, the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act has been in Congress for months now, and Democrats refuse to do anything with it. Speaker Pelosi will not let this bill see the floor. So what we're trying to do, we're supporting the effort of a discharge petition, trying to get 218 signatures. This would bypass Speaker Pelosi to force a floor vote. And you know, as we've already said, this is common sense. This is not about a woman's right to choose. There are no restrictions on abortion. We're talking about a child that was born, protection for that child.
55 times the Born Alive legislation has been brought up by the Republicans on the floor of the House of Representatives, and 55 times it's been squashed on, you know, allegedly a procedural vote, but of course, Nancy Pelosi and company make up the procedure in a situation like this. They don't want to have any part of it. And the only way this legislation is going to pass this Congress is if the Republicans happen to take over in the next Congress. But I also add one more thing. I don't know why in the wide world of sports this didn't take place in the 115th Congress, led by Paul Ryan, but then again, I have a lot of questions about that. But on your website, you have a toolkit, a Born Alive toolkit. What is the purpose of that? If folks go there, what information can they derive?
Yeah, that's a great question. So heritageaction.com, you can search our toolkits. We put these out issue-based, sometimes bill-based. So the one you're talking about is specifically on this Born Alive issue, and it gives our activists and people across America the information they need to break down this issue, you know, what's actually going on Capitol Hill, and what can you do about it? How do you contact your legislator? You know, what is the strategy behind the discharge petition? Has your representative signed the discharge petition? All that information is on there. There's also a myth and fact sheet, which I find really helpful. You know, the left loves to toss around ideas that just simply aren't true, and a lot of them are fear-mongering. So we address a lot of those questions on there and give answers. So it's a great tool for anyone to check out and see. And you know, you touched on this earlier, but the bottom line in all of this is the abortion industry is about money. Period. And that's what all these members here in D.C., we've got states across the country that are passing incredibly pro-life bills, protecting children inside the womb, and then you have people here in D.C., elected officials, who are too afraid of their finances for their campaigns from the abortion industry to stand up for life.
You know, God bless you for your work on the federal level, and it's a difficult task for sure. And eventually we may see some sort of ruling by the United States Supreme Court. We shouldn't have to wait for that. We should be a moral country to begin with, and I think that that's the wave that we're seeing on the state level. These wonderful states, from Alabama to Iowa and Missouri, coming up with these pieces of legislation to do what is morally correct, that I think we all know in our heart is the right thing to do, and that is to protect all life, both inside and outside the womb. Janae, thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.